Update. Hired a private investigator to watch my fiancé on her girl's trip, and now I'm torn. Original post. Hey everyone, long-time lurker, first-time poster here. I never thought I'd be the one to spill my story in a confession sub, but here we are. To cut a long story short, my fiancé and I have been together for 5 years, and every year, she goes on this girls-only trip with her close friends. Something in my gut had been bothering me about these trips. Maybe it was the slight changes in her behavior afterward, or the cryptic conversations that overhear. But instead of directly confronting her, I did something I'm deeply ashamed of. I hired a private investigator to watch her during her recent trip. I got back the results a few days ago, and as much as I regret violating her privacy, my suspicions were not unfounded. The PI presented evidence of her being unfaithful, and it shattered my heart. Now I'm caught in this storm of emotions. On one hand, I deeply regret snooping and not trusting her enough to talk about it. On the other, the betrayal from her side feels even more significant. I love her, but I can't see a future together anymore. How do I even approach this situation? Do I confess my snooping, or just end things without revealing the reason? Any advice is welcome. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Just tell her you know, you don't have to give details. She's not going to tell all her details. Be glad you didn't marry her. Yeah, this is the move. You validated it for yourself. Spare your mentals and the drama. You know, and now it can be over. Maybe as a bonus, send her the proof your friend captured in a month or so, just so she feels horrible for being unfaithful and give you the last word. Sorry, man. Ruin her friendships by sharing any pics and say it was one of her friends that ratted her out. But don't tell her which one. Move on, dude. When she asks why, say I know you're cheating on me, and leave it at that. Don't tell her anything else. Her punishment is never knowing how you know. When you completely stump her and she has no idea how you know, she'll start yelling at you, accusing you of all kinds of stuff, telling you suck in bed and she needed more, that you have a small junk whatever, anything to get you to scream back. Don't lose your cool. Keep it together and just leave. Then ghost her. You're done here. This is perfect. Don't give her any of your energy. I know you've been unfaithful, and I'm leaving for my own sake. All this, you have a task to perform that is critical to your happiness in the future. You will absolutely have emotions. Just know going in that you must remain rational and safe while completing this very important task. Tell her you know, tell her it's over, and tell her you need to be left alone for a while and maybe forever. You may want to avoid having to coordinate for personal items later, so gather your things that you can't live without. Good luck, stay focused. You do got this. I would definitely just go with an I know it happened, and maybe one undeniable detail, and give her enough rope to hang herself. I'd also let the partners of the other women on this trip know what they've been getting up to. At the very least, there is open collusion and infidelity going on. If you don't know all the partners, then host one last dinner party with specifically that group and their partners, then pull the man aside either individually or as a group. Then enjoy the show. Now for the update. Hey everyone! I've received many messages asking about this situation, and I thought it was only right to keep those who cared in the loop. When my fiancée returned from her trip, I tried my best to handle things maturely. I gave her a chance to be honest, asking if there was anything she wanted to share about her trip. Instead of coming clean, she gaslit me, making me question my own perceptions and reality. Having the evidence I had, I confronted her about the affair. She was taken aback and immediately asked how I knew. I told her the truth, that I hired a PI. I didn't want to falsely accuse any of her friends, as some of you suggested, even though honestly part of me was tempted. She was furious. I've never seen her that angry in all our years together. Additionally, feeling it was the right thing to do, I shared the evidence with one of her friend's boyfriends, so he could be informed and consider getting tested if necessary. It was clear to both of us that our relationship had reached a breaking point. We broke up right then. Despite it being my house that I've financially covered for us, I left and checked into a hotel, giving her space and asking her to pack her things and move out. We didn't communicate for a few days. When she finally reached out, she expressed a desire to talk and perhaps find a way to mend things. But the trust was broken and I couldn't see a future for us, so I told her no. And now the part I didn't see coming, she's considering pursuing palimony payments. For those unaware, palimony is financially support provided to a partner in a non-marital relationship after a separation. I've been informed that due to the relationship laws in our state, this could very well be a real concern. I've initiated a process of hiring a lawyer. During our relationship, I got the majority of the financial responsibilities, including the mortgage. We had an unspoken understanding. My money's our money, her money's her money, due to our significant income differential. I never thought that my generosity would come back to haunt me. There it is, the updates many of you ask for. I wish I had a happier conclusion to this chapter, but life has its twists and turns. It seems she might have the upper hand in this final act, but I'm hoping for a fair resolution. Thank you for the support and advice. It has really meant a lot. I hope that the palimony does not materialize. It may not feel like it, but it's better to know now rather than a few years, and kids potentially down the road. Good luck to you. I can't imagine there being much of a case since she cheated. That's typically checkmate in these things. Eddie has the proof. I hope he wins, then countersues her for his legal fees. To hell with this useless little scrubber. Actually, now that you mention countersuing for legal fees, Opie might just tell her that directly. It might call her off her absurd witch hunt for money. If she has nothing to lose and everything to gain, why not go for it? Sometimes certain lawyers will even agree to work on the case for free if they feel they can win it and only get paid when they win. If Opie tells her he'll be countersuing for legal fees and that a significantly higher salary has afforded him a very expensive lawyer, suddenly there's a financial punishment if she loses. It might get her to drop the whole thing before it even starts. Good luck, Opie, and as far as her guilt goes, don't let yourself feel it. You don't deserve to feel guilty at all. I may catch some crap for this, but I've always said the ends justify the means when it comes to cheating and relationships. I too have found myself doing unethical things in order to confirm infidelity. I would have felt a little bad if she had come up clean, but sure enough, she came up dirtier than that pair of undies in high school gym class that sat all year in that one locker no one used. I was completely justified in my actions. If I hadn't taken matters into my own hands, right now I'd be married to a no-good rotten cheater. I don't care what anyone says. Anything is better than being innocently tricked into that situation. I agree. The normal rules go out the window if your gut feel turns out to be right. Then you should feel no shame, and you should thank your lucky stars that you found out in time. Not a lawyer, but I thought alimony was pretty much void if one partner isn't faithful, so it seems like this should be even more clear-cut for palimony. Hope that's the way it works out for you. Not true. I live in a no-fault state. I know someone paying huge alimony to his cheating ex-wife who left him for another guy. But she's not his wife, and she is working, not a stay-at-home wife. His house, so he is paying the mortgage for his property. It doesn't imply him to agree to support her, but he should absolutely follow his lawyer's advice and stop talking to her. Frankly, I would ask the lawyer if exposing her cheating will not hurt his case. I would blast her and her friends online. She might be encouraged to get palimony by people around her who think she is the victim. When her cheating becomes public knowledge, they will stop encouraging her, and she will look like POS in their eyes going for the money of the guy she wronged. It might damage her reputation a lot, and she might back off on the money. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my ex-wife not everyone is a self-centered witch like her? I, 45 male, was married to my ex-wife, Kelly, 45, for 15 years. We have 2 children together, ages 16 and 10. We divorced 7 years ago. She left because I lost my leg. 15 years went down the drain because I was in a car crash. I was the main provider and we had a toddler at home that she couldn't care for us both. I'm not here to bash her on that. That's just the backstory. I'm now married to my wife of 2 years, Shay, 32. We are expecting our first child together, and she helps me raise my 2 since I get them every other week. She's incredible, everything that my ex wasn't. Kelly always makes comments about how the age difference is a red flag and how I should watch out. I've always brushed them aside, as I only have to see her during drop-offs and pickups. But ever since she's found out the news, she keeps reminding me that I am a 45-year-old amputee who will have to care for an infant, and if I'm sure I can do it and if she's gonna put up with it. Tonight, Kelly said to me that I better have a backup plan just in case. I snapped and said, not everyone is a self-centered witch like you. Kelly got mad and brought my kids home. It was supposed to be my week. I called and texted multiple times because I wanted to see my kids. She then sent me a long text that night about how she couldn't believe I could say something like that to the mother of my children, and that she was just warning me about what the outcome could be with such a younger woman, and how badly I hurt her feelings. I've yet to answer, but my wife knows I want to see my kids, so she says I should just suck it up and apologize. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Your ex is not only a self-centered witch, but an incredibly bitter one too. She has no business commenting on your marriage. She's way out of line. Is she refusing to let her kids see you unless you apologize to her? I'd drag her to court. I'd like to, but we have no legal agreement, and I have no plan to take her to court. She makes more money than the two of us and has a bigger home. I don't want to risk losing anything, especially seeing my children. You won't risk not seeing your children if you go to court for custody arrangements. A court-arranged custody arrangement will prevent your ex from using your children as a weapon to beat you with. Go to court and get yourself a formal custody arrangement. My son's father and I split when our son was less than a year old, and even with it being amicable, we got a custody agreement in case one of us ever went nuts. Best decision we ever made, and it prevented a lot of arguments. This, I know legal terms like prenups and custody agreements set off alarm bells for a lot of reasons, but it really is best to get that stuff sorted out in writing while everyone still likes each other. My brother did the informal custody and alimony thing, where everything was all good with his ex, so he didn't feel a need to push for anything legal. I kept telling him this is the best time because everyone is on the same page, but he kept ignoring my suggestion. A year or so later, the ex breaks up with her partner and starts asking my brother for more money, and also starts to keep the kids longer out of spite. Things eventually get settled legally, but it was months and months of dealing with lawyers and such a waste of money on both sides. Last story. Am I the a-hole for hurting my father's mistress/wife? When I was 20, my family found out that my dad was cheating on my mom with our maid. They obviously got divorced, but since he stated that he was in love with a maid, the entire family did everything they could to secure our family wealth. Dad was disowned by his parents, and bottom line, he was left with nothing. After all of this, I was really traumatized and bitter. This was my dad, my male role model, my hero, and he was also the one to destroy our family. I admit that he tried really hard to keep contact with me and to explain to me that he still loved me very much and it had nothing to do with me, but I did not want anything to do with him. I cut him off entirely and refused any kind of communication with him for the past 9 years. Back then, I told him that he was dead to me, and for his sake, he should consider the same. Pretend he did not have a biological daughter anymore, and go play house with his mistress and her bastard daughter. I know he still kept tabs on my life, and each year he would send me messages on Christmas and my birthday, but I never responded. 6 months ago, I had a bad accident. I was driving home when a drunk driver hit me full force. The doctors let my family know that the injuries that I sustained were really bad and that they were doing everything in their power to save my life, but they should be prepared for everything. Luckily, I've fully recovered, but my dad has been insane ever since and trying to mend our relationship. He came to the hospital almost every day while I stayed there, but me refusing to see him did not make him understand that I want nothing to do with him. I recently changed my mind and decided to confront him and his mistress, now wife, because some relatives told me what the woman has been saying about me and my family. She has been talking trash, saying that it is not my fault for acting like this because I learned this from my family, mom and grandparents, and they are to blame for me being cruel. After hearing this, I could not believe the audacity of this woman, so I agreed to meet my dad and her to set things straight. I think they got the wrong impression because when I went to meet them, they came along with her daughter and her husband. They were so disgusting. The woman had a stupid smile on her face and told me how happy she is that after all this time, I was giving them a chance, and how happy she is that her daughter will finally have the sister she always wanted. I made it clear that I am not giving them any chance. I told her that I know everything she has been saying, and if I learned cruelty from my family, then her daughter must have learned from her that being a cheap woman and sleeping with your boss makes you progress in life. I also told her that thank God she does not have a uterus anymore, so she cannot taint my bloodline with her creatures. I told the girl's husband to watch out, because what can be expected from such disgusting women? Before leaving, I told my dad that he has two options: either consider me dead, or divorce his joke of a wife, cut ties with that joke of a family, and come back into our lives. He told me that he cannot let me go, that I am his daughter, and that last years have been torture not being close to me. Again, I told him that if he expects forgiveness, he knows what to do, and if he really loved me that much, he will choose me this time. My grandparents agreed with my actions, and are hopeful that maybe their son will come back to his senses and come back to his family. But one of my aunts, Dad's sister-in-law, said that it was a low blow for me to mention her incapacity of having more children, that I may have hurt her with my words. Honestly, I do not care. She hurt me more when she destroyed my family, so her struggles, her hurt did not move me at all. Opie said when they go low, I'm taking the expressway in hell. What was the wife's reaction to this? Oh, not the a-hole. I mean, now looking back, I did not give her room to say much. I had things kept for 9 years that I needed to clarify, but her initial reaction was shock, like she did not expect it. What on earth do you expect to hear from someone who refused to meet you for 9 years and who you know for sure hates you is beyond me. After she recovered a bit, she started saying, I know we were wrong, but, and I just stopped her and told her no buts. There is no but here. She is what she is, and that's it. Honestly, cheaters always think people are just supposed to let things go. Well, let's see if your dad chooses a relationship with you or her. I'm so sick of Reddit absolving cheaters with the life is nuanced, is not black and white. Sorry, some things are black and white. No judgment, but you need some severe therapy. She said in a comment that she's in therapy.